Okay. And well, keeping on with the whole sticks motif here, Mad Catz has had a lot of success since Street Fighter 4 hit the scene with a whole variety of different sticks, but they seem to be focused on like the same look and same feel from what I've heard. What differentiates like the Mad Catz sticks from like the Quanba ones? Is it strictly just the like the manufacturing buttons and stuff like that, and like the layout, or is there more to it?
The difference between the Mad Catz and the Quanba sticks are not very much, really. It's just the form factor and the positioning of the control panel. But other than that, they're like exactly the same Japanese arcade parts, Sanwa Denshi JLFs and OBSF buttons. And the layouts are the same Taito Vulix setup, so the positioning and the spacing are all the same. Just that Mad Catz actually have a bigger name. Actually, they have a larger history, so people would trust Mad Catz a little bit more, even though they had a shaky past with all the questionable controllers in the PlayStation 2 days.
Yes, I know those days all too well. But I think the other thing that people really like with the Quanba ones is the fact that you can get those 3-in-1s, and I don't think Mad Catz offers that, right?
No, that's sort of a little bit of an odd territory when it comes to that.
Okay.
Yeah. The 3-in-1 joysticks actually skirts a little bit of the licensing line between Microsoft, Sony, and well, the PC doesn't really have a license. But in most licensing issues, Microsoft and Sony don't really want to have a device that supports both consoles, which is why Mad Catz don't really release a 3-in-1 joystick. Quanba gets to get away with that because they're not officially licensed. They're a third-party device, like outside third-party device, and they're made. Well, most everything is made in China, but they're sold in China mainly. So Chinese issues and licensing kind of don't really affect them.
Yeah, I get you.
It's a big gray territory, and generally Mad Catz paid Microsoft and Sony for the official license so that they can have their logos on their boxes.
Okay. Okay.
It's a big money issue.
No, and that actually makes a lot of sense because you know that's been going back and forth this entire generation. But now, one thing that I've always wondered personally here, I don't get this. When I go into a game shop and I see like an arcade stick for $70-$75, and then I turn around and I see the tournament edition for like $150 or more, what's the difference between all those? I never understood that.
It's you get what you pay for kind of deal.
Okay.
The lower price items are generally not official Japanese or whatever authentic arcade parts. They're usually aftermarket or generally not really good quality parts. For example, the Mad Catz SE stick, the special edition or standard edition or whatever you want to call it, they're like the small box, but the stick and buttons are Mad Catz branded.
Okay.
So the quality of the buttons aren't that great. So I've actually owned one of them, and after playing for like 2 or 3 hours, the buttons start to jam up on me. It's just the build quality, and essentially the price of what a stick is what you get.
Okay. So, like, if you're a hardcore fighting fan, you go for the tournament edition all the way.
Yeah, because it's using the actual arcade parts.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. All right. So now let's zero in on you. A couple of personal questions here. When did you when you first start gaming? Because I mean, obviously you're a big fighting game fan. What was your like introduction into the genre?
Introduction to the genre starts way back in the beat 'em up days. Like before fighting games, it was beat 'em ups like Final Fight and Ninja Turtles and all that. Okay. So I pretty much cut my teeth on that. Like but if you have to guess, I'll have to guess what my first fighting game was. It was actually Karate Kid on the NES.
Wow!
If you consider that a fighting game, because it actually is a one-on-one fighter, where you punch, kick, and you have special moves.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah. And always player 2 is very cheap because he can run across walls and he walks a lot faster.
Have Have you ever taken part in a tournament yourself back in the day?
Oh yeah, several tournaments. I am not a very good player. I spend most of my time studying games rather than practicing my skills. So I'm more knowledgeable than I'm skillful.
Okay.
If that makes any sense?
Yeah, I hear you, man. I hear you. So why do you think fighters slowly decline? I mean, we had such a huge boom with Street Fighter 2 back in the day, and then it seemed like the sky was the limit, and then I don't know, like it just sort of fizzled away. What happened?
There's several reasons. Like, one is that fighting games got more and more complicated, so it didn't become any. It's not beginner friendly, so new blood can come in. Street Fighter 3 is like the prime example for that, where the parry system and all the technical jargon with that game, it just it played to the strengths of the advanced players, but not to the beginners.
Okay.
And things sort of snowballed in that era. Yoshinori Ono made it a point to simplify Street Fighter 4 so he can bring in the new blood. And it's pretty much what happened. Another thing is that people lose taste in age. Like when you grow up, you start to grow out of different flavors. So when new consoles came in, became more powerful in the arcade machines, people started playing more of those than playing fighting games, and it's just evolution, pretty much. That's pretty what you would call it.
And I guess now that Street Fighter 4 is back, brought everyone back in, you guys must be unbelievable, the tournaments now. I would assume they're probably larger than they've ever been before.
Oh yeah, back in the day when it was considered successful, you could get 32 people in one room. Nowadays, 32 people doesn't even, it's just a small gathering. Like I remember back when you're in an arcade, you can only fit 16 people in one area because it'll cause a fire hazard.
Unbelievable. And now that Capcom seemed to have brought back the entire genre, what do you think of some of the classics, like one of their main rivals, SNK, which was one of my personal favorites back in the Neo Geo days? You think they're basically a relic of a time long past, or do you think we've got a chance of seeing them maybe making more of a comeback now that King of the Fighters just came out, etc.?
Well, SNK has a specific niche that they're scratching right now, and that's the high-def 2D graphics with King of Fighters 13. And I love it. I would personally love if they can do the high-res 2D textures or 2D sprites for all the Street Fighter characters. And then in turn, SNK gives all the Maximum Impact characters to Capcom and let them do a 3D Street cross versus game, or whatever they want to do with it.
Well, me too.
That's my personal dream, but I don't know if that's ever going to happen.
Yeah, me neither. So let's see. What's your favorite SNK, Capcom, and Namco fighter? Just give me three.
Character fighter from each game. Let's see. SNK, it would be Lee Rekka, otherwise known as Wong Fei Hong, and from the Last Blade series. That's because he is modeled after Jet Li from the Once Upon a Time in China movies, which you don't really see that. Of course, there's one other Wong Fei Hong game, which is Martial Masters, but I don't really consider that a very good game. But it is a well-played game, and it's actually more attuned to the Jet Li movie than the Last Blade series. But I like the Last Blade series because it also has samurais and ninjas. Street Fighter, Capcom character that I like, fighter. That'd be Karen, but Karen isn't really a Capcom fighter. It's more of an Udon character. I just like the way she plays and the way her attitude in the Alpha series. And Namco. Namco don't really have a official favorite, but right now I'm currently leaning towards Lily for the same reason that I like Karen. Maybe I just like the rich girls. I don't know.
Nothing wrong with that.